In this video, I'll discuss and show you how to get around St. Petersburg if you only speak and read English. Travel tips on how to book hotels in Russia and travel within Russia during sanctions. The tallest building in Europe. How Russians treat Westerners who only speak English. Inside a Russian grocery store during sanctions. The truth our media doesn't tell us. A typical Russian mall during sanctions. So please stay tuned to my video. Please remember to post a like, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell so you can always get my latest travel videos. Good morning and welcome back to my channel. And welcome back to St. Petersburg, Russia. I'm right in front of my hotel, and today I'm going to explore some of the sites in St. Petersburg, and I'm going to bring you along with me. But first, some breakfast. My breakfast this morning in St. Petersburg. That was a delicious breakfast. Now we can start out. Now the one thing you're going to need when you're here in St. Petersburg is one of this. It's called a подорожник. And if you go to the ticket booth at a metro station and ask for a подорожник, they'll sell you one of these for about 60 or 80 rubles. And then after that, you can load it with as many rubles as you need. I've loaded mine with 500 rubles. And you can recharge them. You don't have to go to a ticket booth to do it. You can recharge the подорожник just at a machine. And the machines all have English on them. And you just choose the English language and put your bills in, your Russian ruble bills, and it'll charge the card. So now we can go to our first destination. Now on this long escalator ride down to the subway level, you'll note that nobody's following me. I'm not part of a group. And once you get a Russian tourism visa, nobody's here to follow you around or scrutinize what you're doing. You're just like one of the other people here. That's a misconception that we have in the West, that you need a tour guide or be part of a tour group to tour Russia. You don't. You can just do it as an individual. Also, the hotel you saw me staying at, that was paid for online by me before I left West, before I left North America. And that's one of the improvements since I came to Moscow. There are websites that'll accept your Western credit card. And all you got to do is go to Google, look at the hotel you want, and it'll give you a list of options. And a couple of the options will allow you to use your Western credit card. The credit card that the company that I used was called Zen Hotels. And I used that, and I prepaid for my hotel, so when I arrived it was all paid for. I'm here. I'm gonna go over here and then up to here and then across, take the green line up to this station here. Begovaya. I made it. I'm pretty proud of myself. I don't speak any Russian. I only speak English. I'm in my late 60s. If I can do it, you can too. This is not a tourist area of St. Petersburg. This is just a random average street. Note that the neighborhood is safe, clean, and well maintained. I've reached my first destination of the day, the Lakhta Tower. It is the tallest building in all of Europe, and it sits in this average residential neighborhood in St. Petersburg, Russia. The walk from the subway was pretty easy. and just goes through an average Russian neighborhood. See, this is not a wealthy neighborhood, just an average neighborhood here in St. Petersburg. And there is the tallest building in all of Europe. Get ready for something amusing. A Harley Davidson store selling Harley Davidson motorcycles, and right beside it is the Milwaukee Bar and Restaurant in English.
The Lakhta Center is the tallest building in Europe at 1,516 feet or 462 meters. Note that the second, third, fourth, and fifth tallest buildings in Europe are also in Russia, in downtown Moscow. Please watch my Moscow videos to see the tall towers in downtown Moscow.
Right beside the tower is a beautiful park and marine walking area next to the Baltic Sea. Now, when I described this tower, the Lakhta Tower, I said it's the tallest building in all of Europe, and it is. But when I was in Moscow, I said that the Federation Tower, the lookout point that I went to, and I showed it to you in my video from Moscow, is the tallest lookout point in Europe, and that's true. This tower will have the tallest lookout point in Europe. However, the observation deck is not completed yet, so you can't go up there. So currently it's just an office tower, and they are working on the observation deck. So maybe when you come here, it'll be open. Some more travel tips. What works here in Russia? Surprising to know, no, your credit card does not work here. However, Google Maps does work here. Google Transit directions do not. So Google Maps works. So if you're in a taxi or if you're walking, like I just did, from the subway, it works. But if you're trying to figure out how to take the bus from one location to another, it doesn't work when you're here. WhatsApp works. I don't know if Skype works, but I use WhatsApp on my phone. It works. So you can keep in touch with your friends and family using WhatsApp with a data-only SIM card. Once again, since my last trip to Moscow, another improvement that's happened is the hotel companies have created ways around the sanctions. So as I said, I booked my hotel through Zen Hotels, and it worked just fine. And when I was going to Moscow, there was no such thing. The sites kept on crashing. Now there's a stable site, probably several stable sites, but I use Zen Hotels, and it's a stable site. So they'll take your US or Canadian or British currency and convert it to Russian rubles and pay the hotel. And that's a big plus. If you do come to Russia, my recommendation is you have a paid reservation here so that you don't show up and, be out of a place. You don't want to be homeless in Russia. You'll be one of the few people that are homeless, but you don't want to do that. So that's my recommendation. Just try to find a place to stay. Now, what I'm going to do is before my next trip to Russia, I'm going to find out through Zen Hotels, and I'll let you know if they allow booking of train and plane tickets. If they have that, like Expedia does, for example. You can book a flight with Expedia. You can book a train ticket with Expedia. I'm going to try to find that out if Zen Hotels is a partner, and I'll let you know. So currently, the only way you can book transit tickets within Russia online is to get that card from Sberbank that I had mentioned. And you get that card, you get your 16-digit code, and you can just be here in St. Petersburg and book yourself a train to go to Moscow. They have a high-speed bullet train that takes you to Moscow. You can book a flight to Kazan, Vladivostok, anywhere you want. So So that's the current system. And that's about the only way you can do it currently. If you can do it before you leave, that would be a convenience. Now, the good news is flights and trains within Russia are very inexpensive. So it's not like you're going to be getting severely ripped off if you just use the transit once you get here, or buy the transit tickets once you get here. It's not really going to blow your budget. Now, I'm here in the daytime, but the receptionist at my hotel, who spoke fluent English, told me that this tower and all these buildings light up at night, and it makes quite a show. And I'm not coming here at night. This is the one time I'll be here. But if you are here and you want to see a show, you might want to come here in the evening. It wouldn't work well with my camera anyway, because my video quality at night doesn't look all that good. Now, I mentioned about transit tickets. Keep in mind that subways, buses, trams all work with the podoroshnik that I showed you before, and you just simply tap your card and go. It's the intercity trains and the suburban trains, as well as the high-speed trains to Moscow, the flights, they won't work with your Western credit card. I just entered inside the building. It's just an office building, but I wanted to show you something in the lobby. They're promoting a new car. This is made by Horus. It's a luxury automobile. Looks gorgeous. Looks expensive. Now, I'm guessing the company Horus makes luxury cars. They're either Russian or they're Chinese because of sanctions. Let me know in the comments if you know where this company is situated, Horus. Another tip about traveling in Russia is you'll be surprised as to how many people know English. The guy at the hotel who served me my breakfast, he spoke English and he was happy to practice it. The girl at reception at my hotel, she spoke English. The guy yesterday in customer service spoke fairly good English. They all want to practice their English, and they don't have an attitude towards us because we speak English. They want to practice their English, and they'll try their best to speak to you in English. Now, as is customary, try to start off with privyet, which means hello, izvinit, which means excuse me, and as I said, pajalsta, please, and do svidaniya, goodbye, and also just trying to remember what else is there. Oh yeah, of course, spasibo, which is thank you. And that's all I know. I don't really know much else. And of course, da and yet. But you'll get along just fine if you speak English here, and they'll make an effort to speak English with you. So if you want to know if they speak English, you just go izvinite, English, they'll understand. And they'll either say niet, which means no, they don't speak English, or they'll speak in English, they'll say hello. As I make my way back to the subway, past the Harley-Davidson store and the Milwaukee Bar and Restaurant, I thought I would drop into a Russian supermarket and show you what it's like. Now, conversion rates. When I show you prices in the supermarket, divide those numbers by 100 and you'll get the price in US dollars. That's the exchange. $1 US equals approximately 100 Russian rubles. Entrance to a Russian supermarket. The prices are per kilogram. Mangoes, peaches, mandarin clementines, oranges, Coffee beans, approximately 1 kilogram. 8 medium-sized eggs. Italian wines. French and Portuguese wines. A bag of Lay's chips. Lay's stacks. You're probably told by our media that you can't get these products in Russia anymore because of sanctions. And these are all unavailable, and the poor Russians are all starving. Here you go. Imported beer from Germany. 56.99 rubles. My favorite beer, Baltica 7. That's my favorite canned beer in the world, actually. 56.49 rubles. Kronenberg White, 79.99 rubles. Boneless breast of chicken, 319.99 rubles. That's per kilogram. That's $3.19 US per kilogram. Kozel beer, I believe that's Polish. 65.99. Now you're really going to be glad that you watch my channel instead of mainstream media. Watch this. Coca-Cola. According to our media, it's been banned in Russia. 99 rubles for a 2-liter bottle. 0.99 cents, or sorry, 99 cents US. They also have Cool Cola, which is slightly cheaper, I think. 69. Pampers from Procter & Gamble, available right here. Written in English, no doubt. 500 milliliters of Russian vodka. Colgate toothpaste, Aquafresh. All fruits and vegetables are priced per kilogram. Prosecco. You don't think Russia caters to tourists? Everything on this bottle is written in English. Look at that. Here's the price of fresh meat. And fresh salmon and whitefish. Now, Russians have made brand adjustments due to sanctions because of sanctions, certain products have either become very expensive if they came from the West, or just not available. Obviously, Coca-Cola is available, but it costs more than the other cola, which tastes the same. So Russians have figured this out, is that because Coca-Cola, for example, decided to follow the sanctions, another company made the exact same formula as Coca-Cola, and they're not selling it. And they legally can. Coca-Cola can't sue them because they pulled out of the country. However, their product is still available because it's imported. So you'll notice this. I'm going to be taking you to a shopping mall, just a typical shopping mall next to my hotel. It's very, very close to my hotel. It's nothing special, but I just wanted to show you the brand adjustments that Russians have made. So they're getting the same quality of product that they were before, at the same price they were before, at the same availability that they had before. It's just under a different name. And no biggie, they've just made that adjustment. America's favorite fast food chain is alive and well in Russia. It has not been sanctioned. Neither has Burger King. English, you are here. I'm trying to go over to this subway stop. That's next. These are the machines you use to recharge your Podsterosha card. I didn't pronounce that right, I know. But here, you just simply top up the unified e-purse by putting your card in there and then putting like 100 rubles in there, and that'll top it up. And they'll even give you a receipt at the bottom. And as you can see, it's in English. This is the exit of the metro. It's a pretty nice neighborhood with classically designed buildings in St. Petersburg, but the reason why the metro stop is called what it is because of this. It's a sports stadium. Keeping the sports stadium to my right, I'm going to walk this way. As I walk a little further, I see the Neva River. And look at those classically designed buildings on the other side. This is a bridge that crosses the river. From the bridge, you can see that way towards the Baltic Sea and the Lakhta Tower I saw this morning. The river's going inland. Look at that hydrofoil. Whoa! Look at the speed of that guy. That is an express hydrofoil to Peterhof. This is my third full day in St. Petersburg. I have not seen one homeless person or a beggar or very much litter. I think nothing. I would say no litter at all. Hope I'm not exaggerating, but I haven't seen any litter. It's an extremely clean city. You can see what I mean. St. Petersburg, Russia is a very beautiful, clean, safe, and uncrowded city, and yet there's a lot of tourists here. It's not packed with tourists like Paris is. It's beautiful. It smells wonderful. It's clean. That's a very clean and clean-smelling river. Now, I mentioned about that this time when I came to St. Petersburg, I was able to pay for my hotel in advance using that hotel booking company called Zen Hotels. There'll be others popping up. What's happened since the first time I came, which was in Moscow, just over a year ago to this trip, is that the Russian entrepreneurs and business people have figured out how to overcome the sanctions. And so they route the payment through other countries like China or Uzbekistan or maybe Kazakhstan through their banks so they can trade the dollars for rubles and do it fairly cost effectively. And they do it instantly. And that's how basically Russia is getting past the sanctions, and that's why you saw bottles of Coca-Cola in the grocery store. Sanctions basically, as far as I can see by being in Russia, they haven't really worked. They've tried to create, fear amongst Westerners, and our government has succeeded in that. We're very scared of Russians, and we don't need to be. The Yandex app, that was a Yandex taxi that I just showed you. I downloaded the Yandex app while I was still in North America. It was a successful download. I just pressed my preferred language is English, and they translated everything into English. Yandex works just like Uber, except of course you cannot load your credit card information because you've got a Western credit card. Or I have a Western credit card. But other than that, all you do is just pay cash. And it tells you how much you got to pay the driver. It tells you the driver's name, everything. Driver's license number, just like you would get with Uber. Color of the car, the make of the car, everything else. And really, really easy to use. And I'd highly recommend you use that app when you're here taxis and Yandex are very inexpensive here. We're gonna go this way. It's interesting to me how the architecture of the buildings looks so similar to the architecture in Stockholm, Sweden. Keeping in mind, St. Petersburg, Russia is about 5 times the size of Stockholm, Sweden. This lovely old ship is not a museum, it's actually just a restaurant. That is the Winter Palace from across the Neva River. I think I showed you some of these sights from the other side of the river on my first day I was in St. Petersburg. That was amusing. I'm a tourist here. I don't speak a word of Russian. And a Russian lady walked up to me, I guess she was a tourist, and she wanted me to take a picture of her. And we did it all through sign language. I took 3 photos of her. So she, I guess, wanted to send it to her family or friends. From the ship, we see this. I think that's an island. The question on many people's minds before they travel to Russia is, are Americans hated in Russia? And the answer is a resounding no. Americans are not hated in any country I've been in. You can see them from my travel videos. It's a misnomer that I think our mainstream media conveys to Americans. I think, fear sells, as the saying goes. Here in Russia, absolutely not. And nowhere have I traveled that, dislikes Americans, but certainly not here in Russia. They don't like our government because our government is funding weapons that are killing their soldiers. So they don't like that, but they blame our government. They don't like the officials in our government, but they also realize that we have 2 challenges. Number 1 is we don't really know the truth because they believe that we are a country that is kept ignorant by our media. They're probably right. And secondly, is they know that the American people have nothing to do with the American government, and that there's a distinct separation between the 2. And I think many of us would agree with that. So you have nothing to fear if you come to Russia and thinking that they're going to hate you because you're an American. They're not, or a Canadian, or a Brit. No, they're not. Just try to be empathetic to their situation, their current situation, and you'll get along just fine. And I think sanctions help because, of course, there's not a horde of tourists coming into the cruise ports like there used to be years ago before the sanctions. So St. Petersburg used to be a cruise port for Norwegian Cruise Lines and Princess Cruises and so on. Of course, it's no longer. I don't know if they'll ever open up again. So if you want to come to this beautiful city, you're going to have to take the initiative to do so. And I hope my video has helped you. Again, the Winter Palace. Just across the last bridge you have to cross to get over to the other side. Another selfie. I was here and you were too. That United Cultures is obviously an international conference they're having here. I'm on the other side of the canal, and there's limousines pulling up over here, TV stations with satellite broadcasts, so this must be a major event that's happening. Tourists are not allowed to go onto that side close to that building, obviously because of this conference that's happening. BRICS is an organization called BRICS, and the R is Russia. And when I was flying here from Istanbul, on the plane, and the seat next to me were two delegates from Turkey who are trying to join BRICS. And they told me about this conference that's happening. And that must be what's going on in there. Probably heads of state are here today. Tower Pub, a traditional English pub. Nobody's there, probably because it's tea time. They're obviously limiting traffic down the street because this is Nevsky Prospect, by the way. They're obviously limiting traffic because of this conference that's happening. Now's a good time to talk about security and police in Russia. I've been to Moscow, I've been to St Petersburg. Police are very professional. If you ask them a question, they'll be very helpful. And overall, they're very courteous in both cities. Now keep in mind, they don't speak English, but they'll make every effort to try to communicate with you with either Google Translate or hand gestures to indicate what you should do. And all you got to do is just follow their lead. That's Nevsky Prospect running there side to side. The road is closed to traffic, and this is a little canal. And that is the Church of the Spilled Blood. I'm just going to go close to there now. I've seen some YouTube sites talking about what you shouldn't wear when you're traveling to Europe, or especially Russia. And supposedly things that remind people of America are not to be worn. And that is totally false. You'll see Russians here wearing, Chicago Bulls jerseys, football jerseys from America. The Russians are wearing those. They're wearing baseball caps. You won't see an American flag, on somebody's t-shirt or baseball cap, but all the sports teams that are famous in America, they're famous here. So, you should never worry about that. There's a lot of people that put on this stuff on YouTube talking about how fearful you have to be to, don't dress like an American. No, you can dress like an American. you'll just look like part of the crowd. Don't worry about it. That's a tour boat. And that is the Church of the Spilled Blood. Beautiful building, eh? Russian Orthodox churches are gorgeously decorated. And there's the crescent moon under the cross, signifying that it's a Russian Orthodox church. The crescent moon is a symbol left over from the Mongolians who ruled Russia for hundreds of years. And it's a remnant to their past, their Mongolian past. There's a sightseeing bus, all spelled out in English, right in front of the ticket office to enter this beautiful church. Those who watch my channel know that I put a bit of a focus on public restrooms because when you're traveling and you're approximately my age, public washrooms are pretty important. So public restrooms in St. Petersburg, Russia are available, and they cost 50 US cents, about 50 rubles, and they're quite available everywhere in the tourist areas. And they're clean and they're not crowded. We're going to duck into the metro at Nevsky Prospect. I'm here and I want to get here. That's my hotel. I'm now at the metro station right in front of my hotel. And as I mentioned to you before, I'm going to show you a mall. And not a special mall, it's just a mall that's close to my hotel. And I'm going to show you the effects of sanctions on Russia and what they've done to adapt to it. It's kind of curious. Stay tuned. Here's the entrance to the mall. Let's go inside. So the United States of America and Great Britain and Western Europe imposed sanctions on Russia. They prohibited Western brands, especially American brands, to operate here. And as I've shown you, Burger King operates here, Subway operates here. They've been able to get around it. This is an American brand, Guess Jeans. They're operating here. Pinko, not sure which country that's from. Armani Exchange, that's Armani, that's an Italian brand. Lakhta, operating here. This one's interesting. This is L'Occitane. And they figured out a way to operate here in Russia. That's a French company. Again, Armani, Italian company. Hugo Boss, a German company. Now, some of the brands could not structure their corporation to be able to operate in Russia because the government forbade them. So what's happened to those brands? It's interesting. Michael Kors figured it out. So did Karl Lagerfeld. Now, I don't know what Marco Polo is, Established in Stockholm. That must be a Swedish company. Henderson. Fine menswear. I've never heard of that brand. Idol. Pan Club. Here's another brand I've never heard of. Love Republic. I've never heard of that brand. But their clothing seems familiar. Business always finds a way, so the brands that could not operate in Russia because of American government imposed sanctions have had to sell off their business to other brands. The Russians have figured out what brands they are. So essentially, Love Republic, I don't know, it could be a brand from America that their quality is represented here by Love Republic. So this is what I mean. The Russians have made a brand adjustment, and they've got new brands, and they know exactly the price point and the quality of the product that they're going to get. They just know it's coming under a different label. And it's been 2 years of these sanctions. This mall is totally full. Does that coffee company look familiar? So here's an example. This is Stars Coffee. It looks familiar, doesn't it? That's Starbucks. And they could not operate because of sanctions. Their lawyers, their corporate people couldn't figure out a way. So they just sold the brand to a company called Stars Coffee, which is a Russian company. It's exactly the same product. Very easy to recognize. At the center of every mall in North America, there's always a new car for sale. This one is Jet Tour or G Tour. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, and it's the T2. Now, this is a nice luxury SUV. Looks kind of like a Range Rover. Look at the price. That's 3.9 million rubles, actually 4 million rubles. That's 40,000 US dollars. That's the price of the vehicle. And that would be roughly the price of, you know, a Range Rover type vehicle in America. It's probably a Chinese brand. Now this brand J-Tour is not available in America, but it's likely a Chinese product, and they're selling their luxury vehicles here in Russia. This luxury SUV. I've been to many malls in Europe, Eastern Europe, and Western Europe. You're not going to find a mall that is better than this place anywhere in Europe. And it's just around the corner from my hotel. It's a beautiful mall. It's, you know, rates with the malls that you would find in North America, in your neighborhood, and everything's open. Everything's operating. And I could show you the food court. They're all different brands, but everybody knows what the product is. And it's a beautiful food court upstairs that they have. Anyway. Sanctions have not negatively affected the Russian consumer at all. Not at all. Our government imposed the sanctions. Then they cut off media so that you couldn't get news from Russia unless you get it from my channel. But, you know, so they imposed the sanctions, told us a line of garbage as to what it's doing to Russia. And then they cut off the media supply. So you can't find out actually what's happening. You can't verify it. So they can just keep on lying to us. Sounds about right for our government, doesn't it? I hope you enjoyed my video from St. Petersburg, Russia today. Please stay tuned for more of my travel videos, and thank you for watching.
Please subscribe, post a like, and hit the notification bell for future videos.